anytime you're cutting or drilling in metal, you want to make sure that you wear eye protection and gloves. Metal can really mess you up if a piece flies loose and hits you in the face or cuts your hands. And the tools that cut through metal, well, if it can cut through metal, it can cut through your finger pretty quickly. So before we start drilling in metal, let's talk about what size holes we want to make. For myself, I like to go with 1/4 inch bolts, which means you should get a 5/16 of an inch bit. Like so. Then you use 1/4 inch bits. 1/4 inch works well because they're commonly available at every hardware store. You can get something like this, which is basically a stove bolt that is tapered, so you can then drill a countersink into the hole that you originally drill, and then this will be flush on whatever it is that you're attaching. You can then also get round bolts. You can get wing nuts, like so. And then regular nuts. And then ones that will sink into wood. So you really have a lot of flexibility going with common size bolts and nuts. I like number 20 thread 1/4 inch bolts. They are just so available. There's so many varieties out there. And they're the way to go for me. And they're also really heavy, heavy duty. They will hold up to, you could bolt something together with this and park a car on it if you wanted to. So they're great things to use. But just pick one and go with what works for you. So for this first hole, we are going to drill this 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the piece of steel, and then a 3/4 of an inch in from the edge. This is a 3/16 piece of angle iron. So move that out of the way. And let's clamp this down. You want to make sure that you secure the piece of metal as best you can. I have a vise as well, but in this case, we will be using clamps. Measure in where you want your first hole to be. So in this case, we go to 3/4 of an inch. We then go to, as you can see, this is 1.5 inches, so we want to go 3/4 of an inch in. There's a half, there's 3/4. There we go. That is it. That's where we will make our hole. We are going to do this using the most basic of tools. After this, I will show you a better way to do this if you happen to have a drill press. I'm assuming most people don't have a drill press. So let's just use a standard rechargeable drill. I mean, this is like just simple. You should have one of these. If you don't have one of these, get one. Come on. These are basic, dude. Okay, so let's start to drill. No. No, that does not work. Why not? Because there's nothing for the drill to grab onto. So what you need to do is create a dimple at the point where you want to make your hole. So we will take a set and basically pound this in with a hammer to make a hole, not a hole, but a dimple that will then grab onto the drill bit as you drill. Take your punch set, whatever you want to call this thing, put it right at the point where you want the hole, and then just smack it. Hit it hard. Now, this gives your drill bit a point that it can grab at. So, if we go like so, see, it doesn't skitter around anymore. It is biting in and going into the point where you want to make your hole. Oh yeah, look at that. There we go. Whoop. And went right through the table too, which that's something you should expect and plan on. Look at that. Nice hole. And as you can see, it fits perfectly. Now, to countersink the hole, find a drill bit that matches up with the head, the size of the head that you're going to put into it. In this case, it's about a 1/2 inch. So, that's what I will be using. 7/16 also works for the stove bolt on a 1/4 inch bit. And what you want to do is not drill all the way through. You just want to drill partially into it. There we go. Just give it a little pressure, not a lot. You aren't, as I said, you are not drilling all the way through. You're just creating a sort of sink to keep this flush. Oh yeah, a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna release one clamp, both clamps. Let's see if this rests flush. A little bit more. So, give it a bit more. And just a little bit more. You know, this is something that you should do. It's kind of trial and just trial. Don't have any error. Just do trial. No trial and error. looks perfect. Oh, look at that. So we now have a stove bolt that is perfectly flush. This is important. Keeping it flush is important for being able to slide your grills back and forth, being able to slide your griddles back and forth, so on and so forth. So, that's it. That's how you drill in metal. So, now that you know how to drill a hole into metal, how would you use this for grilling? I'm going to have more complicated instructions on how to make grills and grill stands that you can use. In addition to that, there are some very simple things you can do. This is a cross for grilling a turkey. You could expand it out, you could wire a goat onto this, whatever. And as you can see, this is just 1-inch square stock with some flat bar steel. This is a piece of angle iron where I had to cut out a bit here. And I just used some wing nuts and 1/4-inch bolts, the ones I mentioned before, the number 20 1/4-inch bolts, and bolted those on. You can just wire all sorts of stuff onto this, stick it into the ground over a campfire or a fire pit, and cook things. So I'll show you some photos of things that I did with this. Okay, so here's a turkey that I cooked last Thanksgiving on that exact cross that I just showed you. As you can see, it's very simple to just use some wire to attach whatever you want to cook onto this cross. One note that you may not notice in the photo or the video, I pounded a smaller 3/4-inch section of square stock into the fire pit so that I could lift that entire cross off, flip it around, turn it, do whatever I needed to do. Anyways, I'll do a separate tutorial on that because, they're easy to make and they're very useful. So have a great day.